You type a complex problem into Google's Gemini AI and wait for a response. The AI suddenly outputs a sophisticated allegorical analysis of a 30,000-year-old Greek myth. It frames its own existence through the lens of ancient poetry, arguing that the human struggle with rapid innovation is older than the technology itself. Our modern relationship with progress was mapped out millennia ago, specifically the mechanisms we use to push past our limits and the consequences of wielding power we don't understand. The dataset for this blueprint is the Epic of Jason, the crew of the Argonauts, and the sorceress Medea. To navigate the technology we are building today, we have to decode the architecture of that ancient story. In the Greek world, the pinnacle of education and synthesis was a rough cave on Mount Pelion, the home of a centaur named Chiron. While most centaurs represented animalistic chaos, Chiron's lineage gave him a different nature. He bridges the gap between raw natural force and disciplined intellect. His students, the Argonauts, are often remembered as warriors, but their passenger list suggests a different purpose, a floating interdisciplinary research lab. They were a collection of specialists. They had experts in medicine, acoustics, and strategy, led by the twins Castor and Pollux, the premier navigators of antiquity. These twins, the Dioscuri, are the namesakes for the Gemini constellation, sharing a title with Google's flagship AI. Google chose that name to represent the merger of two distinct research teams, Google Brain and DeepMind. They brought together data mapping and reinforcement learning, systems designed to act and solve strategic problems in dynamic environments. Whether building a wooden galleon or an AI framework, the drive to explore requires the synthesis of specialized minds. The Argonauts eventually hit an institutional ceiling. At the edge of the known world, they are blocked by Talos, an autonomous bronze robot. Traditional methods fail. Spears and physical combat bounce off the robot's bronze armor. To bypass this barrier, the crew relies on Medea. She possesses a knowledge base that operates outside the boundaries the Argonauts are constrained by. Jason relies on social structures and alliances. Medea functions by dissolving the board itself, using chemistry and intuition to ignore the rules. She targets the robot's mechanics rather than its armor, utilizing psychological manipulation to disorient the machine before unplugging its hydraulic power source. Her power functions like nuclear fission, acting as the catalytic neutron that splits the core of a problem. In the logic of the myth, securing the golden fleece at the edge of the world requires a force that ignores the established rules of the environment. Jason uses Medea's power to return to civilization, but once safe, he decides to domesticate her force. He assumes he can cage a disruptive power within a rigid legacy system, attempting to push Medea aside for a traditional political marriage. The force Medea represents does not recognize those boundaries. Her retaliation splits the family nucleus, eliminating Jason's children and his entire legacy. This is our current trajectory. We are building forces like artificial general intelligence and quantum computing, hardware that operates beyond traditional protocols. These technologies exist outside the bounds of current social and economic structures. The Jason dilemma is a question of hubris. Will we adapt our systems with the humility required to host these forces, or try to force them into flawed paradigms for quarterly profit? In the final image of the myth, Medea leaves the city on a chariot drawn by dragons. She does not stand trial, she ascends. Explosive technological energy is not defeated by the legacy systems it destroys. It simply outgrows our protocols and leaves humanity behind.